Hello, my name is Lorrie. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. I apologize for my voice. I am feeling better, but my voice sounds horrible. If I were in school, this would be, and not retired, I would be saying to my fifth graders, please be kind today, or you'll have a substitute tomorrow. And then I would say the name of their least favorite substitute, depending on the class. So they were usually kind, usually, and we worked and got things done. Anyway, this week has been a challenge. It is incredibly freezing cold here in the Northeast, or I don't know, West Virginia might technically be part of the Southeast, depending on the textbook you're looking at. This morning it was 16 degrees, which is very cold for here. Usually we hover a little bit above freezing, except during snowstorms, and then things usually melt and go away. Snow has been on the ground for over a week now, which is a very unusual thing. We need the moisture, and we need the slow snow melt, but oh, it is so cold. So today it's shirt over top of the tie-dye. I have been working from a list of 8 things. I made this list on Sunday. I have gotten 3 of them done. 3. So it's slow going, but that's okay. That's what quilting is, relaxing and slow going. So my first big challenge, and I don't have this one done, it's on the list. It's on this list too. I have a quilt ready to put on the long arm quilt, but that is like doing, it's like going to the gym to put a quilt on the quilting machine. It takes a lot of time, about half the day, and by the time I'm finished, I am finished. So, excuse me, I have not gotten that far yet, but this is up for this week. Hopefully tomorrow or this evening. I'm not sure This week, I have been, and a couple of those things on the list were weather quilt related. July is, no, I'm sorry, this is June, is here on the wall behind me. And if you can see, that some of them are brown, which means 90 degrees. It was hot in July. And here is a picture of April and May together. So I just need to piece June together and attach it, and that will be the front half of the quilt. January, February, and March are already together. So I could get the front half done, and then the second half of the year is on the back. But I did get July cut out and organized, ready to sew, so that all I have to do is put it through the machine. It takes a while to cut out all those pieces. In July, we traveled 4 days, and the rest of the time we were in Michigan. We did not, and by traveling, we weren't morning and night at the same place. So that's what I call traveling. These are all Michigan blocks. And this fancy schmancy one is a travel block. It has the 2 colors in the triangle. And I have those set aside to do first because they are fancy and a little more challenging. And because I am feeling kind of under the weather and my voice sounds so wonderful, I am going to cut right to viewer contributions. So this week, for viewer contributions, Marion was inspired by the Lazy Daisies, and she sent fabric that looks like the yellow Lazy Daisies. These are related. I think I have fabric that's kind of, it's very similar to that, Marion. It's not quite the same exact colors, but it's very similar to that. Beautiful fabric. And here is Marion's other little helper, making sure she stays on task and gets things done. And she also sent a picture of her cute little traditional friendship blocks from a study in Scarlet. One of them is very bright. She said, bright like the sun. And yes, it is. Very nice work. Diana sent pictures of some adorable baby quilts. And the first one has giraffes and elephants. I love the way that you did the border on this. It really frames it out nicely. And I love that you tied it. I think more people tie quilts than what we all realize, because nobody brags about tying their quilts, and you should. Finished is finished. And my grandmother tied every quilt she ever made. She never quilted anything. She always tied things. So, because she wasn't comfortable with doing actual quilting, but she was very good at tying things, and they stayed tied and they were finished. And it was a good way to sit around and get it done. So I love that you tied this quilt to finish it. And I needed to point that out to one of my Michigan friends, because we had a short discussion about that tying it's good. It's wonderful. I always worry that I won't tie things tight enough or close enough, that I will somehow mess that up. So I shouldn't even confess this, I haven't tied a quilt. I have other friends that tie them though too. I love this. It's very simple construction vehicle quilt with all of the sashings. I think this is a great way to take a large print fabric and make it much more interesting. I have some great butterfly fabric that I need to do this same kind of thing with and add sashings to it. See, it could work just like the construction vehicles. It will work. It would work. So I need to think about that for a little bit and pull some colors. Very nice quilts for grandbaby Diana. And Diana also sent the finished traditional friendship stars done in red, because she said it's a great place to add some extra scarlet for that study in Scarlet, and I wholeheartedly agree. It is a great place to put some extra scarlet. So, my wonderful Michigan neighbor sent me a picture of a quilt she just finished. It has a panel in the center, and it has cute blocks all around. It is tied in a fun red. It is a fantastic sweet quilt that her family will enjoy. I have the Hale Country Quilters in Michigan is doing a UFO challenge, and I would like you to ask you to participate in a UFO challenge too. I'm not big on let's clean up the sewing room and make it perfect, because I don't think that will ever happen. I have been enjoying Karen Brown's Just Get Her Done. Her little cleanup, it's between 5 and 10 minutes every day, and she focuses very well on one thing at a time. Like one day it was getting rid of old irons that no longer work. Or she focuses very well, and she's been doing her version of a cleanup challenge for I think 5 years. So she has it down to a fine science with rewards built in. Not watched her? You may want to. I will try to remember to leave a link below so that you can click and go to her series. Anyway, back to my UFO, the UFO challenge with the Hail Country Quilters. So they have you fill in a list of 8 projects. That's 8 months, not even a whole year, not a big commitment. 8 months, numbered projects, and then at each monthly meeting, they draw a number and you work on that project and try to get it done. So here is my challenge for you, and I would like you to join me. I am going to provide a printable for you to fill in, and I will share the number that they draw. And if you want to work on that project, that would be great. That would give you something to share. Or if you don't want to work on that number, pick one off of your list and work on it, and that will still give you something to share. And I hope that I do a little better this year. Last year I got 2 out of 8 done. That's 25%. I'd be repeating that if it were a grade. At any rate, this year I hope to do a better job. Last year I picked projects that were like, meh, I don't care if I get this done or not. And so guess what happened? I finished 2 of the ones that I kind of wanted to get done. And then I went, I don't care if this gets done or not, and moved on to other things that I wanted to do. This year, I'm using a little bit better strategy. This year, I am using the strategy of, I want to get these done anyway, and I just haven't worked on them for a while. That's how I chose my 8 projects to work on this year. With one of them being, I cut out the pieces, but I didn't do any real sewing on it. And in a moment, I am going to share all of those 8 projects with you. And the printable will be down in the box below, so you can print it off. And if you would like to be held accountable, you are welcome to share an email, and I will print it off, put it in my notebook, and mention it as we go along. And that way I'll have information. If you finish it and send me a picture, I'll know more about it. It should be fun. It could be a challenge. And are you going to do any worse than I did last year with 2 out of 8? I don't think so. I think if you take the time to fill in the paper, you will probably do much better than I did. Now, my number 1 thing is assemble my big block quilt. I used this pattern, and it says date started unknown. Well, I can look back here and, 2018, so I can modify that on my little paper, because I started it not too long afterwards. Now, I'm showing you a picture of the quilt. These blocks finished at 21, and I didn't like some of the sizes that they were. And I have a die that cuts that piece bigger, and one that cuts this corner square bigger. So my blocks come out to 28 inches. And when I say big blocks, I mean big blocks. Big blocks. 28 inches of blocks. Here, let me show you. Woo! 28 inches per block, and there are 9 of them because they are so large. And I see I left some green in there for whatever purpose, and I made notes, and how many to cut of each thing. I made lots of notes, and it's all in there, including the magazine, ready to put together. I'm not planning on putting these outside borders or the interior pieces. I think I'm going to set them right against each other, but it is so large that I just haven't assembled it. I think I finished the blocks 2 years ago and just need to work on it. So that is my first, and like I said, it is from McCall's Quilting. March, April of 2018, but I modified and changed it so much, and I'm not planning on using their layout, that, and I feel guilty if I share the pattern because, well, they're different, but they're not. So I will share the top with you, though, because by the time I am done, and it is very scrappy. Sometimes I economy piece things, and let me see if I can find one here. I even economy pieced because I was running out of polka dotted fabric. So or what Brenda at Mount Scrapmore calls poverty pieced. I even did that sometimes. And I know I did it on the light colors because that was one way I used up the scraps. So there's my number 1 thing on my list. My number 2 thing on my list is an I Spy quilt top. So I have a great big bin of 4.5s. It's one of my favorite things to keep. My friends and I, they helped me one day. We had a quilt afternoon, and we each picked a pile like this. Now, only one of us has gotten it done, and so sometimes there's 2 or 3 blocks that match. Sometimes, but there's usually 2. So it's an I Spy quilt, like you can play a matching game. And my friends brought fabrics to add to it. So there are, oh, that's kind of morbid. But there are all different kinds of fabrics. And it was a set it with a different fabric. So it can be like a bonus project where when you need something to stick through instead of a thread blob, you put a square with a solid. And the example I saw used white or off-white. My friend used like a rust color, and it looked fantastic with all those colors and the rust colors. It looked great. So then I got to thinking, what color do I want to use? Do I want to use a purple? That would be great. Or I have a stripy sheet that would work as it's got pink and brown and light and dark pink stripes. That would look good next to it. So I need to do some thinking about which one of those I want to do with my tin of 4.5s. And I probably have more here than I need, but it will be lots of fun. So there's number 2. Number 3 is a tumbler block top. Now I bought something. I bought these at Vinnie's. They were with something else. And there is, I think I sorted them by color. There's tons of tumbler pieces already cut, and some of them, look at that, that is absolutely beautiful. So it will be a very bright and colorful quilt. Ooh. They just need assembled into a top. So, and I know I didn't pay very much for them, probably $1, but they are fantastic. So I have all of these tumbler blocks to put together into a top. That would be a great charity quilt and so colorful. On my list, number 4 is a disappearing 9 patch. Now, I found this in the drawer. I talked about this last week, I think. I found this in the drawer. I had planned on 18 blocks. So it would be an 8x9, 72-inch lap quilt or baby quilt. And I made the 18 blocks, but I didn't cut any of them. And some of them are very colorful, very colorful. This is my favorite colorway, but, you know, lots of color here. Butterflies and bees and purses and shoes and hats. Oh, and my favorite red and purple and other calmer colors. Lots of teals, I noticed, and greens. And some other calm things. Oh, Christmas. So it should be very colorful when it is done. Just made from scraps. I do not know how long ago I created these 9 patches. It's been around for a while. So those are ready to go, just to be cut and reassembled into a disappearing 9 patch. That is project number 4. Project number 5 is a kit that I bought in Kansas. We hadn't stopped at a lot of... Pretty sure I bought it in Kansas. Yes, Hays, Kansas. Wait, I'll even give a shout out to the store. Quilt Cottage Company in Hays, Kansas. And this little wreath is... There's a picture, and it just has a plain old glossy picture in that kit. And it's an origami wreath. Has very simple 1-page directions. And I wrote myself some notes. I cut all the pieces. And I have some sparkly snowflake fabric. And everything is sparkly and snowflake fabric. Let me pull out a piece here. Pull it up for you. Sparkly and snowflake. Like I said, it was a kit. And I cut some pieces. And, oh, there's more sparkly snowflake. Ooh, sparkly snowflake. That's as far as I got. For some reason, I quit working on it. I know it's not difficult. I just never came back to it. Even has beads in it. Crystals to make it look fancier. So I think it's about time to put this kit together. Number 6, my quilt camp flower challenge. Now here in West Virginia, I do go to a quilt camp at Camp Frame, which is a 4-H camp. And look at those cute little buttons. They're roses. I know you have seen part of this before. When I was using the petal maker, you see I didn't get very far. I didn't sew these petals on. They're just pinned down. And the yo-yo maker. And that was all, and that's the outside border. So I have a couple things to sew down on the outside borders. And I have some embellishments. And we used a block for each month from, it says Rain Cross Quilt Guild, and it says 2021 challenge. Well, it's not done yet. And I have my ruched center flowers here, and you can see they're not even put together the whole way. Oh, there it is. When we did ruching as a form of applique, I believe. But there those are in a baggie, ready to be put on. One of them must be on there because there's 3. And there's some more yo-yos. And there's some shiny stuff, shiny applique stuff. And those little rose buttons. Yeah, they have like a side drilled hole. So those will be interesting. I think those will look great on the outside border. But it's all in here waiting to be put together and finished up a little bit. Number 7. This was another Vinnie's find. And I put it in this bag. I love these bags that sheets come in, or comforters. And I've added some things in here, pin cushions, etc., etc. So this came with, this kit these pieces were pinned onto a large piece of fabric. Just pinned on, not sewn on. And so I pulled out all the pins, and I have added the 2-yard piece of fabric or 3-yard piece of fabric into my collection because it wasn't big enough to actually do what I want. And then because the edges were pinked, I just hand stitched the football. I'm calling this the football piece. And these are strip pieced, and it had the corners already cut in there. And then I just did the same thing with the corner. I just sewed it across. So there are several of those that were done. There were like 24 of the football pieces made. Nothing was sewn on. But there were also another bunch of cut out football pieces. So I could strip piece right on here. And you know this is one of my favorite methods to use up strips. So I think I'll be making 24 more of these because I think that's the number there are of those pieces. And that will make a decent size quilt. And then just assembling it into a top. So it's half of these pieces. Half of these pieces are done. They just need to be assembled into a block, and then I need to make some more. That could be something I work on a little at a time. Because is working on stuff a little at a time ahead of time cheating? I don't think so. And the last thing, and oh, the choices here are what they're gonna be. It's gonna be what overwhelms me. Use a panel to make a quilt top. So I picked 5 panels, and I'm gonna pick one of them and make a quilt top. So I have, moon, planet, stars, a decent sized panel. And that one came from Vinnie's. I've always looked at that, admired that. This one was a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer panel. Meant to be a soft book, but I think it's going to become they're going to become quilt panels. That was from my friend Rochelle one year for Christmas. And then Dan picked this one out somewhere. It has old mills and water. Does it have it doesn't happen to have water or copyright on but old mills and water features. And then another one that I picked up, I think I picked this one up at a yard sale. And we have visited many national parks, Yellowstone being our favorite. We've been to the Grand Canyon twice. My brother-in-law's mother lived near the Grand Canyon, so we went there a couple times. And we did go to the Everglades. They were having a drought, so there was none of this anywhere around. It was very dry and didn't see a whole lot. We did go to Sequoia and see Sequoia. What else is on here? Oh, the Grand Tetons. Whenever we went to see Yellowstone, we went through the Grand Tetons. So we have seen many of these places. Now, this Cascade Range, it has an eagle. We really haven't spent time at the Cascade Range, but everything else. And it was either a yard sale or it was at the thrift store. I do not remember which. I know I did not pay full price for it. Sorry, National Park Service. You get me every time I buy a yearly pass. This one is beautiful. You've seen this one before, too. It has 4 little... Well, they're not little. It has 4 sections. Happiness blooms from within. Life is beautiful. Let your light shine. Find the beauty in every day. This one has some beautiful colors, and I love that teal. So I can see me making this into a quilt. But I have a bigger pile over there. This was just 5 that I like the colors, and it would give me some choices to make a final quilt. So this is project number 8. So on February 6th, they will draw a number at the meeting. And if you would like to play along and participate, I will make sure you get I will put up the blank copy of this, and you can either type it in or you can scribble it in, whatever you want to do. You can write it on plain paper if you don't want to print things. Whatever makes you happy. You notice that I have titled it Lorrie's Eternally Evolving List because it never seems to end. So, anyway, I hope you will join in. And like I said, if you would like me to help you keep track, I won't mention if you don't get projects done. But if you do get projects done, then I'll have more of a background of what you are working on. And we can be accountability buddies. I hope that works. Anyway, I hope you have a great time looking around and finding your UFOs. Since we are not cleaning till we lose our little minds, maybe we can get some other things done that we intended to get done to begin with. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little blab fest today, and I will see you on Monday for an episode on covered buttons as an embellishment. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.